This week, the Sports Ambassador podcast has got the politics, the racism, and all the major issues that have been discussed at the FIFA Congress sorted. Let's start with the presentation of the President of Palestine's Football Association calling for the suspension of Israel at the FIFA Congress in Thailand.
I urge you to recall the images and sounds and consider the data depicting the immense devastation currently taking place in Palestine, particularly in Gaza, that has destroyed or severely damaged every football infrastructure, including 2 facilities in the West Bank. Football stadiums were used as concentration camps to detain and humiliate thousands of Palestinians who were paraded almost naked on the world TV screens. The FIFA requests a vote in today's Congress without any further delay as follows: to temporarily suspend the IFA as a member of FIFA with immediate effect, with the consequences that its membership rights under the FIFA statutes cannot be exercised until the statutory objectives of FIFA are respected, and to ban the IFA and its direct and indirect members from any football-related activity. I don't withdraw this proposal. Mr. President, again, thank you. I ask you to stand on the right side of history and vote now. The suffering of millions, including thousands of footballers, deserve as much, if not now, then when. Mr. President, the ball is in your court.
And now here's part of the response from Israel's president.
Once again, we are facing a cynical, political, and hostile attempt by the Palestinian Association to harm the Israeli football. Make no mistake, the IFA never violated rule set by FIFA or UEFA, and will never do it so in the future.
To wrap things up, here's the FIFA president, Gianni Infantino, suggesting that that vote would be postponed.
Palestine is a full member of FIFA like any of the other 210 members of FIFA with exactly the same rights and exactly the same obligation, like any other country. Now, like everyone else, I was extremely shocked by what happened on the 7th of October in Israel. And like anyone else, I was extremely shocked and am extremely shocked by what is happening now in Gaza. I pray for the mothers who lost their children. I pray for the children who lost their parents. I pray for all those people who suffer the unimaginable. I pray for all of them. And I want, like all of you, just one thing. Just one thing. Peace. Peace. Thank you. But what can we do? What can we do? We are a football organization, and football is here to unite, not to divide. Sometimes it's easier to divide, as I said before, but we are here to unite, and I do not want to divide. I do not want to divide this Congress. I do not want to divide FIFA. I do not want to divide our 211 member countries. And I have a responsibility as president of FIFA. I have to apply the statutes of FIFA and its regulations, whatever my personal conviction on these and other terrible matters around the world is. So first of all, during the council meeting of the 15th of May, 2024, 2 days ago, all the council members unanimously agreed to condemn the acts of violence that have taken and are currently taking place, and decided to send a strong message of solidarity with all the victims that are suffering. The FIFA Council also reiterated that football should not and should never become hostage of politics and always remain a vector for peace, a source of hope, a force of good, uniting people rather than dividing. Secondly, it is important to underline that the three requests that came from the proposal of the Palestine Football Association to this, the fourth FIFA Congress, all three of these proposals, they fall under the competence of the FIFA Council and need, therefore, to be treated by this body. Now, due to the obvious sensitivity of these matters, FIFA will mandate, as of now, independent legal expertise to analyze and assess the three requests made by the Palestinian Football Association and ensure that the statutes and regulations of FIFA are applied in the correct way. In order to ensure a fair and due process, of course, this legal assessment will have to allow for input and claims of both member associations. The results of this analysis and the recommendations which will follow from this analysis will subsequently be forwarded to the FIFA Council. But due to the urgency of the situation, because we all know and we all understand how urgent it is, an extraordinary FIFA Council will be convened and take place before the 20th of July of this year, so in the next 2 months, to review the results of the legal assessment and to take the decisions that are appropriate. I trust that you, the Congress, can support to proceed in this way.
The most positive news out of the Congress was the announcement of who would host the 2027 FIFA Women's World Cup. Beating a joint proposal from Germany, Netherlands and Belgium was Brazil.
And the winner is Brazil!
Kelly Nascimento knows a thing or two about Brazilian football. Not only is she a documentary maker of the upcoming Warriors of a Beautiful Game, but she's also the daughter of Brazil's most famous player, Pelé. Her special interest is where the politics and social change that can be brought about by the global game intersect. Well, Kelly, there's no need to do any sort of an introduction because I think the world knows the news. Brazil is hosting its first ever FIFA Women's World Cup. Congratulations to you and all the women of Brazil. What does it feel like?
Thank you. It feels amazing. It feels really, really exciting. It feels like, I think if anybody's ever gone to any World Cup, men's or women's, and have been near a Brazilian group of fans, you can have a tiny little glimpse of what summer 2027 is going to look like, or at least our winter 2027 is going to look like. So it's very, very exciting. I think Brazil is definitely susceptible to peer pressure. Not many, I do. And I think that may be creating a little awareness going into it, and so that's what I hope. And then I hope to open up a platform for more women in Latin America to tell their stories.
And I also do genuinely believe that FIFA knows that the growth of the game is now all to be had on the women's side. And so I think there is a genuine kind of desire there to make it happen, to make sure that there is some lasting positivity and that the tournament doesn't just come in, have a wonderful party for a month because Brazil can party and then disappear, so yeah.
I agree. I also think that that there's growth and there's growth. And I think that, the women's national team in the US is a great example where it is incredibly important. There's no but. There is a however in this country, people who cannot afford it still can't become professional soccer players. So there has to be attention to how it grows, and that it grows everywhere, and that it grows, that it grows top to bottom and bottom to top. Do you know what I mean? So and I don't know, I can't speak for Europe. I can't speak for and I know that the system is different. Obviously, it's more like the Brazilian system where if you do have talent, but I don't know about the accessibility for girls on a grassroots sort of, tiny neighborhood and local, available and safe aspect. I don't know, but I know in Brazil that needs to happen.
Diplomacy is also key to Australia's hosting of the 2026 AFC Asian Cup for women. Someone that knows about that is Sarah Walsh. She's Matilda number 125, an Olympian, and now in charge of delivery of the next Asian Cup. You mentioned before about the significance of the Asian Cup. Does this mean now that you've got an entry card into all of the Asian countries who are members of AFC, and you're going to come calling and you're going to say, how can you play a role in this because it's about all of us?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Are you Australia's latest ambassador? Move over Penny Wong.
No, we definitely want we want Penny Wong involved in our event, but we definitely want to make this Asia's tournament. I do think that a tournament that's delivered by Australia, just by Australia, is not what we're after. We definitely want to make sure that this is Asia's time to shine. It is. It's our moment to set our mark on the global stage, I think, and we can't do that alone. Australia is one of 40 plus members of Asia, and it's going to take all of us to get it there.
Okay, just to let everybody know, in the Asian region, Sarah's coming knocking. Sarah Walsh, thanks so much for your time.
Thanks for having me, Tracy.
Meanwhile, FIFA has announced a 5-pillar strategy to try and rid the game of racism. But not just the game. They want racism eradicated from everywhere.
Racism is something terrible. It is a scourge that exists in our society, and is one also that is infiltrated in football. For too long, we were not capable of dealing with it in an appropriate way. We need to stand up and fight racism and defeat racism altogether. We cannot accept anymore what is happening in the stadiums, what is happening on the pitch, and those who still believe in the world, anywhere in the world, that they can still behave in a racist way when they are dealing with football, when they are attending a football game, when they are playing a game. Those who believe that, they must know that we don't want them. We don't want them. They have to go out. They have to be out. They don't have to be part of our community. They don't have to be part of football. And so together with this panel of top players from all over the world, we have defined 5 pillars that we will implement as of today all over the world, in all 211 countries, in order to defeat once and for all racism.
We, together, united as global football, will push for recognition of racism as a criminal offense in every country in the world. And where already an offense, will push for prosecution with the severity it deserves. Thank you.
Now, in the same week that this was being announced, we heard the news that the Australian captain of the Matildas, Sam Kerr, was not going to proceed with a court case challenging her charge of racial harassment of a police officer. Now, the dropping of that case means the full criminal trial will go ahead in February 2025. Football Australia says there's no need to stand her down under the no-fault policy while this case continues, because she's not currently contracted to the Australian team and she's injured and can't play anyway. Football Australia did not respond when asked whether that means Sam Kerr will not be considered for selection until the court case has been cleared. FIFA has also announced a Club World Cup for women. Great news, 24 years after the Men's Club World Cup was first introduced. But playing the game brings other challenges. It's reported that women are up to 6 times more likely to suffer ACL injuries and 25% less likely to make a full return to the game. So with more football and potentially more injuries, are the risks greater than the rewards? Kate Gill is a former Matilda, number 127. She's now co-CEO of the PFA, the Players Association. She's also a board member of the international association, FIFPro. And what about some of the other announcements that have been made with regard to women's football? And I don't know if anything has been said yet about the promise that at the next World Cup for women there'd be equal prize money, but there have been some changes with regard to international windows. There's a Club World Cup now for women as well, which hasn't been there in the past. How much of this is really exciting news for women? And how much is it just another way for FIFA to be able to, decorate a few stadiums and wave their flag and say, this is what we're doing for the game internationally?
Yeah, look, I think it's a good point. You can look at it from a number of views as to whether this is the right decision around the international match calendar for women. There have been some changes with the reduction of windows, the opening up of more opportunities with the introduction of the Women's World Cup. I think there's still some issues. The players have been strong advocates for actually having mandatory rest breaks built in to the international match calendar. That hasn't really come to fruition. I know that was a strong point that FIFPro were advocating for during their consultation process. There was also conversation around how can we strike a balance between the international side, but also the domestic side of the game, with a lot of domestic competitions still not that well established, and the impact that this could have in a sense that more weekends will be taken up by the international match calendar as well. And I know that causes a lot of conflict for those players that are particularly active, both club and country, when it comes to them getting release and getting rest and getting the recovery that they need as well. There was some also conjecture around the maintaining of blocked periods, as some confederations don't know when they would like to host their tournaments. But again, this, compromises player movement and can also cripple their opportunities when it comes to clubs kind of pushing back on actually releasing them for those periods. So I think, look, it's progressed as to where it was, but I still think it's got a long way to go.
If you'd like to hear the full interviews with all of my guests today, please feel free to subscribe to the Sports Ambassador podcast.